Yeah, so we have up to about an hour today, and we can start with a little guided meditation just for 5 minutes, just to support our arrival in this space. And Heather is going to offer us a guided meditation, if that's okay.
So welcome everybody. It's really lovely to see some old friends and some new friends too. So if you'd like to just settle into this space with us all together now, inviting you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And let's just take some deep, delicious breaths together. Breathing in. We know we're breathing in. Breathing out. We know we're breathing out. Just allowing that breath to bring you back into your body, into this present moment. Maybe with each out breath, just letting go of a little bit of whatever you've brought with you that you can just let be for the next hour. And as we breathe together, recognizing that we're all breathing the same air. This incredible atmosphere that surrounds our beautiful planet. Breathing in, we're breathing in the same air. And wherever we're sitting, our feet are on the same beautiful earth. So as we breathe in and we come into this space together, maybe just smiling to whatever is here in this present moment. Breathing out and releasing a little bit more. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. And recognizing that whatever it is we're bringing into this space together today, there's something that we have, some commonality that has brought us all together in this moment. Smiling to that, celebrating our interconnectedness. Maybe just taking 3 more delicious deep breaths. Descending just a little bit more into your body. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and just allow them to settle on all the beautiful faces on your screen, smiling to each other. Thank you all for being here.
Uh, Dear friends, dear Heather, thank you for that. Never ceases to amaze me just how impactful sitting for a few minutes quietly and coming back to my body in terms of clearing my mind and allowing me to focus a little bit better. Yeah. So, dear friends, maybe we can have a little round of check-ins. We can check in our name. We can check in where we're zooming in from, and we can check in maybe one word, just so that we can all contribute a little bit to the space. One word of how we're arriving. What I'll do is I can check in, and then I can invite someone to check in, and then that person can invite the next person to check in, and then we can work our way around the group, and that just to make a little bit more use of the time that we have. So, dear friends, my name is Mark, and I'm zooming in from Belfast in Northern Ireland. And my check-in would be happy. So maybe I can invite from the top left of my screen, I can invite Ian, if Ian would like to check in.
Hi everybody. Yeah, my name's Ian, and I'm in Rutland, the smallest county in the UK. And sometimes this pops into my head as a word. It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And I'll pass to this next on my screen, Kirsty.
Thank you, Ian. Welcome everyone. It's so lovely to see you all here. So yeah, my name's Kirsty. I live in a village called Essendine, which is on the Lincolnshire-Rutland border. And yeah, the word I would, to summarise how I'm feeling, is joyful. And I will pass on to Michael.
Thank you, Kirsty. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm tuning in from Frankfurt, Germany. Yes, the airport Frankfurt one. And that will be my word related to is gateway for today's session. Now, do I have to invite another Inside Leadership member, or can I go wild? Then Lena, prepare yourself. I would like to invite Lena.
Hi, my name is Lena. I'm dialing in from Reading, UK. That's next to London. And my word is connected. And I will pass to Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm in Newcastle upon Tyne. And I thought Mark was going to come straight to me because my word is also happy.
Maybe I can invite the other Mark to share.
Hi everyone, my name's Mark Dawes. I live on Hayling Island in Hampshire on the south coast, and my word for today I presume will be calm. And who shall I invite? Dean, I'll invite you, dearest friend.
Hi, I'm Dean. I live in Lytham in Lancashire, overlooking the Irish Sea. And my word is joyous. And let me invite Lindsay.
Thanks, Dean. I'm Lindsay. I'm in North London, and my word is savouring. And I would like to pass to Sophie.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hello, dear friends. I'm Sophie. I live in the Peak District, which until about 12 hours ago was a winter wonderland. It was beautiful. And my word would be grateful. And I will pass to Karen.
Wow, I'm impressed with everyone international. I'm calling in. My name is Karen Wright, and I'm from Boyne City, Michigan, and we are in Winter Wonderland. And I kid you not, word that came to me is Hakuna Matata. Worry-free philosophy. Oh, so I'll pass it to John.
Thanks, Karen. I'm John. I live in Gaydon, originally from Canada, but currently residing in Gaydon in the West Midlands in the UK. And my word is freedom. I'll pass to Liz.
Thanks, John. Hello, dear friends. I'm Liz. I'm dialing in from sunny Spain, and inspired by Heather's lovely guided meditation, I'm going to go for the word delicious. And I will pass to Gerrit.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Gerrit. I'm calling in from Düren in Germany. That's right between Cologne and Aachen. Here to support Michael. Thank you. Michael, I assume, perhaps. And I'm joining for the first time, and accordingly, my word is curious. And I'll pass to Heather.
Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, Heather, calling in, zooming in from Durham in the north of England. And I think I'm the last one to go, so I'm going to take the privilege of saying maybe just a few more words. But what's come up for me is just impermanence, how quickly things change. So I've had a really, really tough couple of days, and I've had I checked in 5 minutes ago, it would have been a very different word. But seeing your faces and seeing so many friends of mine, and yeah, just delight. So my word is delight. Thank you for delighting me.
Wow, it's beautiful, dear friends. Thank you so much for and being so well organized. And nobody left out, which is wonderful. Dear friends, we're Insight Leadership is offering this. And why is Insight Leadership offering this or creating this or hosting this space, and where did it come from, in a sense? And we got together after delivering a course to the UN, a 6-week course to the UN. It was really very well received, and even surprised us at how open corporations are now, or organizations, or these spaces are to looking at mindful leadership, at leadership in a new light. So inspired by that, we've created this space, or co-creating this space. And maybe I can quickly just introduce the panel. So, and as I introduce, maybe you can put your hand up, and not so many of us, but at least we can identify ourselves a little bit. So the first on my list here is Misha, and Misha was is a direct student of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, and he's a former abbot of a Zen monastery in California. And Misha develops insight-based action and well-being through applied mindfulness practices within the corporate world. So, and then we have Dean Donald, and Dean is committed to socially engaged Buddhism. Dean has helped establish a number of social enterprises in the UK, working with people with learning disabilities, autism, and who are refugees. Then we have Kirsty Berridge. And Kirsty was introduced to Thich Nhat Hanh in 2014, and his mindfulness practices have transformed her life. And she now aspires to share Thai's teachings and practices as widely as possible. So Kirsty is part of IL's, or Insight Leadership's, admin communication team. And then we have Heather Monroe, and probably needs no introduction. So for the past 20 years, her doing has been what the majority would call facilitating leadership development programs and coaching leaders. But Heather would prefer to describe this as accompanying others on their journeys of becoming, or spiritual accompaniment. And prior to that, Heather had a career of 10 years as a full-time medal-winning athlete. Ian's up next, see if he can beat that. From scarcity of resources and love to trauma response entrepreneur, CEO leading to identity crisis, and eventually monk lifestyle. So still breathing and practicing on the path with a deep aspiration for sharing Thich Nhat Hanh's wisdom to the world with a community emphasis. And then we have myself, Mark. So I worked as a manager in the NHS in healthcare before my life took a significant change of direction when I went to Plum Village for stress reduction for 1 week and ended up staying for 7 years. So hopefully that leaves, for all of us, that leaves more questions than answers. Questions, as we know, are probably more helpful than answers. So dear friends, the kind of theme of today, the general theme is what is mindfulness? What is mindfulness? What is mindful leadership? I was going into automatic pilot there just for a moment. What is mindful leadership? And a sub question is what does it take? What's the courage that it takes to be an authentic leader, to turn up authentically as a leader in today's world? So maybe we can start this with some of the panel, and then we can open this a little bit wider to hear the voices of everyone that's in the room. So if any of my colleagues here, friends here would like to support me, I'm not one for silences. So. Okay, Michael has put his hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yes, in the spirit of we have up to an hour and let's make good use of the time. I'm not hesitating, breathing in, not hesitating, breathing out, anticipating. I loved what you said, like when we offered the practice of mindful leadership to the UN, that you said like that organizations or institutions that size are looking for leadership in a new light, in a new perspective. And I was asking, and that's beautiful. And I was asking myself, what's the old light, you know, or wasn't there a light and now there is light? So what is general leadership came up for me. And at the same moment, I delivered myself an answer and I said, general leadership is outdated. You know, like the way we looked and practiced or utilized leadership in the last, I don't know, 50, 70, 500, 5,000 years is really outdated because it puts one person in the spotlight to tow a bunch of people at their back, at their will or at their conscious or unaware will, following some goals that they might not even have like determined, but something bigger has determined where to go, what direction to go, and they're just pulling this group of people, which would be the corporate or the institution, with them, and everybody is going blindly. Now I wanted to say into an abyss, but I don't want to see it that dark, but going somewhere where they actually don't know where they're heading, at least most of the people. Maybe the leader has an idea, but if he follows like the guidelines or the visions or the goals of something bigger, like the shareholders or the board or the economy, the market, then most of them don't know where they're heading. So it's important to have everyone on board, which would be for me mindful leadership. And I think last time we talked about that mindful leadership has to be decentralized, that everybody has a say. And today we heard in the check-in collective that leadership isn't something where one person leads everyone else. And why would we put, like, as a collective, why would we put that burden and that responsibility on one person that, I don't know, nurtures maybe also ego and worries and many things that one person doesn't need to carry, if we can release it and have trust to the people that are around us. So I would even say it's not, mindful leadership is not even not only decentralized, but also depersonalized. And I want to share with you, when I was announced abbot at Deer Park Monastery in California, the first thing I said was, thank you for your trust. But the second thing I said was, like, I don't want to do this alone. You know, I don't want to take that burden and that responsibility as one person for all these lovely brothers and the lay community on my own shoulders. Not that I don't believe that I can't carry it because I have broad shoulders, but because I don't want it, because I'm not the only one here. So what I require is a triumvirate. Like back in the Roman times, I want a vice abbot and I want an abbot advisor. And the vice abbot shall be also announced or elected by the community, and the community of ordained monks always made all the decisions in consensus, right? So we have to agree on one vice abbot and an abbot advisor, which I wish would be the oldest brother, the eldest, with the most experience, and who went through all the difficulties that we may encounter on this path, and which I may encounter as an abbot, which I can take refuge in and go for advice and ask, did that happen in the past? How did you respond? What was the outcome? Do you think this was wise? Do you have another idea? And then with this triumvirate, as like, I don't know, an executive committee, we have in our back, we have the council of the ordained monks, which are making the final decision on topics. So the triumvirate would put out ideas, visions, guidelines, new precepts, retreats to organize new ideas for, like, fetching the zeitgeist of the time and bringing it back to the meetings. And the meetings with all these with the committee and the council would, like, in consensus, make a decision, which can take a little bit longer, but it is much more sustainable because everybody's on your side. And even not everyone was always agreeing. They said, I'm not sure, I don't really agree, and I know that from myself, but I have trust in the wisdom of this council, and I flow with a decision of the community. And sometimes it turned out it was the wrong decision, but I never came back and said, you see, I knew it right from the start. And sometimes it turned out wonderfully, and I said, wow, I've learned something new. Sometimes it's just to give it away in order to gain something. So that's my more short or a long contribution to that. Thank you for listening.
Michael, thank you so much for. So it's beyond decentralizing. It's bringing in the collective. It's empowering. That's beautiful, and how wonderful not to be carrying the burden of a soul leader. You know, within the to be supported in that way. Heather, would you like to share a little?
Thank you, and thank you, Michael, for that beautiful starting point. I think what I want to share is actually what what we've experienced in this collective Insight Leadership over the last 24 hours, and how I think mindful leadership is also, mindfulness is about presence, isn't it? And so it's responding to what's happening in the moment. And so it's emergent leadership. It's responding, yeah, to exactly what's happening in the moment. So what I can share for everybody here is that from a learnt and ingrained place of my own belief of what leadership might be, I had volunteered to facilitate today. And yesterday I was having a really bad day and was carrying this idea that somehow I had to be the leader today. And I was bearing the weight on my own, and the others would be there backing me up, and it was creating all this anxiety. And I had enough, I suppose. It might have something to do with leadership. I had enough presence to say to the team, I don't want to do this and I'm struggling. And then what happened was leadership, the team, and particularly Mark, it's an act of leadership to step in and say, no, okay, I'll facilitate. And so in this unfolding, we're co-creating together, and it's happening in the moment. And that requires us to just let go of so many habit energies of what we think is expected of us in the world. Yeah, so it's not just collective, it's emergent, it's unfolding, it's responding to what's happening in the present moment. And that's so different to our conditioning. And with that, I feel my fear come up of, well, I can't be emergent. That's really scary. I need to be prepared for things. Yeah, so how beautiful it is to be in this collective where we are dancing with a different form of leadership. Yeah, and it brings up, like I said in my check-in, delight and gratitude for this co-creative space. Yeah, thank you.
Dear Heather, thank you so much for sharing. Sometimes when things are so obvious to me, I struggle to find the words to describe them. And if I was to tell you how much confidence that we have in Heather and how much respect we have for Heather and her capacities as a facilitator, then it shows how much courage that Heather has and authenticity to share what you just shared. So thank you very much for modeling that and for sharing that. Maybe we can have one more sharing from the team here, and then we can open it up to the group. Would that be okay? All right, Ian.
So yeah, thank you to my beautiful team for sharing so far. And Misha shared what is mindful, or what is one part of mindful leadership, and yeah, Heather shared what it is in action. And so I thought I'd share what is unmindful leadership, because that's pretty much been my path. And as it was alluded to, and I see this with a lot of leaders, that we see a lot of leaders, and I want to share my own experience because it's alive. Is that I had a really difficult childhood, and a lot of suffering in my early life, and it gave me a lot of feeling of not good enough, and there was not enough love, and so I never felt loved. I never felt good enough. I never felt worthy of love, and so this kind of inferiority complex that I'd kind of built up as a child flipped over into adulthood as kind of almost like a superiority complex. I wanted to be good enough, so I had this aspiration to, so simple. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a millionaire. And that was driven by this not feeling good enough, and I'd like to say that flipped over. So that through a huge amount of suffering all along the way, into my teenage years, and then into my early adulthood, and then into my adulthood, even though that culminated in me becoming an entrepreneur and business owner and CEO. And I was at the kind of top of the pyramid, and everyone's looking at me for guidance. I was a terrible leader. I was a pretty bad leader because my ego had been stroked, and I really thought that I'd made it. And I see this with with a lot of leaders, that that underneath this facade, and I had all of the trappings. I had flash cars, nice houses, the tailor-made suits in Savile Row. I had my own tailor. I had the cufflinks. I had the Swiss watch. I felt whenever I turned up anywhere, I felt okay, I've arrived. And the layers and the masks and the falseness that was put on there, and I mixed with other people like this, and a lot of it was a kind of a life of debauchery and hedonism, and brought a lot of unhappiness to me. And I unfortunately I got to in my early 40s before I woke up and realized that I was suffering so much, and realized I was unhappy. So I started to pick up books on what makes people happy, and realized very quickly that it wasn't the external conditions that was going to make me happy. All the wisdom said we have to come inside. So that started my journey. And like a lot of my dear friends here on this panel, lucky enough, I came across Thich Nhat Hanh very early in my journey, and that's where I, for example, met Mark in Plum Village. We went there together at the same time. I stayed for 2 years, a little bit later on, but Mark stayed there with his wife for like 7 years, and I just feel so privileged to be in this position where now I can turn up for meetings, not feeling the pressure, like Heather said, on myself, because I've got this amazing team, and I can't make the decisions. I still have the habit energies where I try and railroad things through, and it takes the skill of all of my siblings here kind of to go, okay, because everything's done by consensus, so it's kind of like, okay, I have to sit back and almost like Misha said, I want to kind of say something goes wrong, so I told you so, because the habit energy that we build up through our life is so powerful. I still feel like a novice on this path, but I thought I'd just share that kind of unmindful leadership perspective. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ian, for the courage and the authenticity to share the story of unmindful leadership towards and the journey towards mindful leadership and what that takes. So that's a good question. Maybe we can open it up to the whole group. What is when we say mindful leadership, what is touched within us? What comes to mind, in a sense? And what does it take to turn up as a mindful leader, to be authentic? What support might we need? What are the what do we need in order to be able to do that? So I'll leave some space, and please you can use the raise hand function, or you can actually raise your hand. And Liz Hall, okay, wonderful.
Thanks. I'm very excited. I remembered how to raise the hand there. So one of the things that's coming up for me, because you talked about the courage that might be required to be a mindful leader. I was involved in an initiative with Lindsay, actually, where we had a beautiful sort of ethos, which we thought was very mindful and compassionate. And that was fine and wonderful, worked beautifully. And we have some lovely tales to tell around that, until there were times when, and I'm thinking one time in particular, when something or somebody comes along and sort of disrupts the ethos. And so for me, a mindful leader has to have the courage, and we really saw this play out, to be able to do something about that, or be something about that, to take action or do something. Because we could just think, oh yeah, we'll just be really kind and not sort of stand up for the values or something like that. So it was a really stark example for me about how, yeah, it's about being nice for sure, but we have to be courageous and speak the truth sometimes, and push back as a mindful leader. So I just wanted to bring that in. It's not easy to do that mindfully. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Liz, for talking about that. Resonated there with not just to do something, but to be something. You know, so and the courage to, like, Ty and many wisdom leaders talk about fierce compassion. So compassion isn't something that's weak, or leadership, mindful leadership isn't necessarily something that's weak. It can be very strong, but it's based in compassion and wisdom and understanding. So anyone else like to? We have time. We have yeah. It's wonderful that we have so much time. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Karen has raised her hand.
Yep, please, Karen.
Thank you for your time. One, I think mindful leadership also recognizes the fact that, like Ian said, we all grew up with different upbringing. So we all have different thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And in any given time, I might be, cold and cranky, recognizing that each person on the team has individual different thoughts, feelings, emotions. It could be different from that day for a certain reason. It could be from the way they were raised. So recognizing the dynamics of your team. When I managed a corporate consulting team in Cincinnati, I had a hodgepodge. Basically, I think what the consultant said a lot of other consultants didn't understand, because I could recognize each individual person from where they're at and where they're coming, but yet bring them together for a common goal. And recognize if someone was reactive, say, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about where, what's going on in your day, in your life. So as a mindful leader, recognizing the fact that everyone's coming in from a different platform, everyone that day might be coming in with something else, and being able to manage that in such a way that's moves forward the whole team together, and help each other recognize that fact as well, that we all bring something unique, but we also all have a goal to reach, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing. And what comes up for me when I hear that is creating safety, respect, and emotional and flexibility. To be able to respond in the moment. Sophie.
Yeah, I love this question, because when you first asked it, like, what does it take to be an authentic leader? For me, it's almost like you can't separate the person from the leader. So it's, to me, the question is like, how do we be authentic? Because how we lead is who we are. And so if who we are is authentic, that's going to come into our leadership. And so I was like, well, how do we do that? And it's all the things that we've been talking about. It's courage and vulnerability and humility and an awareness of self. Because that then will be how we lead. Because for me, it's like, is the question like, how do we lead better? It's like, isn't it how just are we? And then that, will kind of filter out into our leadership. But there's a separation in the question that I was like, that's interesting, because I don't think you can. When I've been with leaders who are authentic, they're very integrated. Whether they're in a leadership role or they're with their kids, they bring the same qualities. And I think it's where you get that separation of like, well, I'm a leader and this is, therefore I've got to take on certain characteristics, that I think that's when it stops being authentic. But yeah, it's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for touching on that non-discrimination, and the courage to bring all of ourselves into those spaces, and not to hide things that we don't think. Looking for hands up. I think we have Alan. Alan.
Thank you. This is extremely helpful conversation for me, because I'm shortly about to start on the latest of my versions of a mindful leader training program for a client. And I loved Heather's word emergent, because I've done it quite a bit over the years, and it's always emerging, and I hope into something a little bit more helpful for those who swing by. But I also remind myself that I'm very much in the kindergarten of teaching anything around mindfulness or leadership. And I've very recently run a program which I described as mind fitness, because I think in order to be mindful, we have to be mind fit. So I'm quite chuffed with using them. I'm sure others will be using that terminology from time to time. But my 25 is a big year for me, because it means it's half my life that I have been a little more mindful. And the first half was not particularly. My corporate life, maybe a bit like some people, Ian in particular, maybe, but others, was a bit corporate and a bit hedonistic. But 36 years ago, half my life, I complete accident, bumped into yoga initially, and then very soon afterwards, the meditative side. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to scribble a few really brilliant notes here that I'll try and merge into something helpful for the people I'm working with soon.
Thank you, Alan. Alan shared the words helpful. So if we can be helpful as a leader, and I think someone shared about flexibility and knowing where it is that we want to go, having the wisdom to see is the path, is the direction we're going in good direction, and then how do we support and how can we be helpful to the people that we are supporting. Heather, would you like to share a little?
Yeah, just listening to Alan, I wanted to add that humility is most definitely an aspect of mindful leadership as well. And I'm particularly just want to recognize Alan's humility. So Alan and I guess about 10 years ago, maybe first met, and Alan had been teaching mindful leadership courses for a long time. So your humility in suggesting that you're a novice on this path is beautiful, because you're a deep practitioner, and humility in leadership is also, I think, part of this exploration that we're talking about. So thank you for reminding me of that,
Alan. Thank you, Heather, for pointing out that humility is also a superpower. So maybe Lindsay?
Lindsay, yeah.
Thank you. Unlike Liz, I haven't worked out where the hand up thing is. And thank you all so much. Sophie, I particularly resonated with what you were saying. I think there's something here too about being aware of what's going on for us in all sorts of ways, whether it's physical sensations or emotions or thoughts or memories. We can be with what is if we are aware of what is, and that feels quite important. And the other aspect that occurs to me is the importance of accepting what is. And I think that resonates too with humility, Heather, that just accepting that here it is, and I may or may not like it. If it is, I may or may not have the ability to change it. So that feels important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing the first two, recognizing and accepting. And then we have embracing and looking deeply, and transformation are key aspects of taking care of anything. Without awareness, then we'll struggle to transform anything. And it takes courage to be aware. Often we want to look away, take an easier route. So I don't think anyone here today is taking an easier route. So does anyone else? We have we're just 10 minutes left or so, so we have enough time for maybe one or two sharings. Mark?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As the novice of the group, makes me feel young again, which is great. Yeah, listening to all of you, and I think everything you've said is all very relative. And it took me back to my former life. I was in the military for quite a long time. And as you progress through up to the ranks, you have to do a leadership course. So I've done numerous military leadership courses, which, going back to what Misha says, you know, are probably out of date now. But the one thing that came to my mind was we had a saying in the military that no plan will survive first contact. So what that means is you can plan to the nth degree, but the minute you establish contact, it's going to go out the window. So you have to trust in your team. You have to trust in their skills. And what's interesting, and I've retired recently. I took early retirement, and the reason I did that was for me, the business I was running was diverging away from the path I was on. But it brings me back this no plan will survive first contact back to the teachings on impermanence and emptiness. And I think for me, what I think is most important for any leader nowadays is they must be true to the truth. That must be at the forefront of everything before anything else. And going back to what some of you said, they have to have the courage and the strength to pursue that truth, when confronted with all the obstacles. So it's a multifaceted thing, leadership, and everyone's different. No two leaders will be the same. But I think having an understanding and appreciation of the truth and the strength to do whatever it takes in line with the truth is probably, for me, the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. And it's a testament to this group, actually, that we're going in very deep. Even we're only here for a short amount of time, we're already going into impermanence, emptiness, and truth. So that's wonderful. So making very good use of the time that we have. I want to leave a little bit of space, just maybe a moment, a minute or so, for those that maybe haven't had a chance to share. Maybe Garrett, or for Lena, or for John. Garrett or John, maybe who feels they have the conditions to share?
John put his hand up.
John, okay. Well, is that okay? Garrett, can you support? Okay, wonderful.
I relate with so many stories and positions about mindful leadership and what it takes to be an authentic leader. There's been a lot of words that have come up, such as humility and awareness. I would add to that trust, vulnerability. And what I've noticed throughout my career is that for me, the way I'm able to show up is directly correlated with the group of people that I'm around. I am so influenced by the others that I'm working with. And that has a demonstrable impact on how I show up as a leader and how my ability to be my authentic self and to be able to practice mindfulness. I mean, there's enough challenges in this day and age to be able to be a mindful leader. In the VUCA world, everything, we're digitally connected almost 24/7, and to be able to consciously choose to be a mindful leader and take a step back and be mentally fit and resilient enough to and consistent enough to every day show up as a mindful leader is not necessarily an easy journey, and it's not an easy decision. And I'm just wondering actually if there's any others that have felt that the way they're able to show up depends on the styles, the opinions of others. I've worked with other leaders, for example, that were completely emotionally unaware. And it's tough to be your authentic self and to present that vulnerability, that humility in front of someone else who may or may not, who doesn't get it, and who that is just, they're going to be a contrarian for that style of leadership, and it's more difficult to show up in when you're surrounded by people or in groups where those people exist. And I'm wondering how do we stay grounded? How do we keep true to ourselves and not let those people, not let those situations diminish us?
Thank you, John, for sharing that and for pointing to something very key, which is community, trust in one another, and that's why there's 6 of us in Insight Leadership. We go as a river, taking our community with us. So thank you so much, dear friends. We are just coming up to the hour mark, and this isn't the end of anything. And I know that maybe not everyone had an opportunity to put in their what was alive for them, and maybe we have the opportunity. We can share that afterwards. We can even share that via email. And we would also encourage feedback. We're co-creating this space here together, and those things that are helpful that you experienced today, you can let us know, and those things that weren't so helpful or didn't allow you to show up in the way that you is nourishing for you, helpful for you, please let us know those too, so that we can be guided. So, dear friends, maybe we can draw this pause to a close. And we can take a moment to just come back to our bodies, come back maybe to if that feels like something safe or solid or like a positive anchor for us. We can come back to our bodies, or come back to whatever it is that's our regular anchor in meditation. And if it feels right, we can come back to our in-breath and our out-breath. Just exactly as it is. There's no need to change it in any way. And we know we had a check-in at the start about how we felt. And we can check in with our bodies and with our feelings, with our perceptions. And we can be aware of how they've changed. What we can do is we can have a one-word checkout. If there's a word that comes to our mind, we can share that word. And I can share first, and then I can invite. So, dear friends, my word is solid. Maybe I can invite Heather. Is on my top left of my screen. I can invite Heather.
Energized. I'll pass to Dean.
Continuation. I'll pass to dear Ian.
Thank you, everybody. Connected. Passing to Gerrit.
Complexity. And And I pass to my fellow novice, Mark.
Curiosity. I'll pass to Misha.
We are in the quantum realm because I wanted to say curious. I heard that at the check-in and I want to use it for the checkout to continue. Now I'm even more curious at the beginning. I'm passing again. Guess who, Lena?
Hi, my word is grateful. Just feeling really grateful to have found this community out of LinkedIn. It was great to be here. Thank you so much. I will pass on to Liz.
Thank you. My word is community, and I'm going to pass to Lindsay. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. My word is ease, and I'll pass to Kirsty.
Thanks, Lindsay. My word is connections, and I'll pass to John.
Okay. My word is growth, and I'll pass to Mark.
Mark is already gone, but maybe I could invite Ian.
Ian, sounds great.
I've been. I can share another word if you want. Super
No, maybe Sophie. Sophie? Yeah.
My word is grounded.
Grounded. Okay. Dear friends, that's wonderful. We'll be having similar meetings on a kind of repeating 2-week cycle, and we'll send out invitations these so that they can be maintained in the diary if that's helpful. And we can unmute and we can wish each other well, and we can look forward to seeing each other hopefully again soon.
Goodbye, dear friends.
Well, thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.